My name is Shai Merkser, and today I will be talking about federalism and how power is divided in the U.S. I chose this topic to talk about because I am very intrigued within the politics and what is happening in our nation right now with all the policies being passed and everything like that, and I really wanted to educate myself on this topic, and I thought this was a great opportunity to do so. I really wanted to make sure I knew exactly what federalism was and to understand, so I had a better understanding of what was going on in our nation, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity to do so. So today I'll be talking about federalism and how the power is divided in the U.S. And first I'll get into the topic about how supremacy clause is found in Article 6 of the Constitution. It says that in the Constitution and federal laws are made under supreme laws of the land, and that's what it's called in the Constitution. From that, it means that if a state law conflicts with a federal law, the federal law always wins. That is the most powerful. And this is because the country is unified and it helps prevent states from ignoring national laws. Concurrent powers are powers shared by taxes, rebuilding roads, and court systems, and everything of that realm. These powers are important because it allows both levels of government to meet the needs of the people while working together and to really making sure you're hearing the American people and hearing what they want as well. The 10th Amendment says that any power not given to the federal government and not denied to the states are resolved to the state or the people. This protects state power and limits the federal government. This is very important because it keeps a balance and prevents the national government from becoming too powerful, and I feel like that's what we all are really worried about, especially in today's time, is the government and our politics getting way too powerful. Federalism is a system where power is divided between national government and state governments, and unitary system is where all the power is helped by the central government, but unfortunately the central government is not as strong. By the confederal system, power and the central government is weak. Unfortunately, that's just how it is in our nation now. One benefit to this system is that federal is that it allows states to make decisions and to help fit and to see what best suits for the people. A downfall of this aspect, though, is that it creates conflict and confusion between state and government, because when they disagree, it creates a lot of tension, and it just reminds me just like of the Democratic Republican Party. It is such a head-on-head and a power trip, and it's a winner-takes-all type of mentality, and when one has power, the other one wants more power, and it just has created a lot of conflict and hatred, and obviously we see that as American people. Two examples from when states and federal government have clashed with each other after the realm of the 1950s is in 1954, Brown versus Board of Education. That's when the federal government wanted to end racial segregation in public schools. This was obviously very big. This is when the federal government had to step in because this had to do with civil rights. And the conflict was resolved when the federal government enforced a law in schools to require desegregation. This was a very, very big topic. I remember talking about this in school. This was obviously a very, very important moment in our history. And another example is in 2010 when it's called the Affordable Care Act. The federal government wanted to expand healthcare coverage nationwide. I remember a little bit about this. I didn't really know, and I really wasn't educated on this one, so I really want to do my research, and I also picked one that I knew and I learned about a lot, and that made a significant difference in our history, and I also wanted to pick one that I really didn't know that much about. This one was more about healthcare and stuff like that, and a lot of states agreed that the individual mandate expansion gave federal government too much power in this realm of things. But I learned a few more about this topic, and it was really interesting to hear how it was just a mandate, and the federal and the federal government didn't step in quite as much as the other act I talked about as well. In my opinion, the power balance between state and federal government should be taken into consideration just a little bit more. Personally, that's how I feel, just because I think that there's a line that should be drawn and walked. A federal government should handle a lot of the nationwide things and to represent us as a nation and all the states combined. And it should have to do with immigration, civil rights acts, all those things. And for example, that had to do with Brown versus Board Education Act, and that was really, really big. And that was definitely a federal law that had to be passed. But within as state laws, I feel that needs to be in control of public safety and education and things of that realm. And as long as both systems have an understanding and respect one another, I feel that both of these systems would run smoothly and not get this power trip of trying to overpower one another and be better than the other one, as we need to work together as a nation and not be so divided. And when that happens and so much conflict is occurring, we as American people see that, and I feel as in we get stressed because so much of our state and our government is so divided and so much in conflict that we tend to stress out more about it and don't tend to understand. So I really wanted to really get into depth about that and see, and I feel as if we both just had an understanding of exactly where our line is drawn between state laws and federal laws, and which we can control and respect one another, then a lot of it would be ran smoothly. But it takes a lot and a lot of understanding. And I feel that the main points from this, I would say, is that federalism is about balance and about understanding and listening to the American people and hearing what we want as well. And the Supremacy Clause and concurrent powers and the 10th Amendment are all helping with that balance as well, and to equal everything out and make sure everything is fair. The system allows both unity as a nation and freedom for states to govern themselves as well. And that's where that balance comes in. Thank you so much for letting me talk about this topic and for letting me educate myself on this topic and to learn more. It was very interesting to hear the different points. I had a lot of notes and a lot of things to hit. So I was hitting all those points. I wanted to make sure I got all those important points because I felt like those were very much so needed to talk about this topic as well. So thank you so much for listening.